We got Cody Roark in from Mile High Sports. Broncos have a day off, but we don't give Cody a day off. We bring him on here and do some extra work for us here on SportsGrid. Cody, great to have you back here on NewsWire. As Broncos certainly have changed the level of expectations, based on the second half of last season. It seems like going into this year, the bar has been raised, hasn't it?
Yeah, and look, I think a lot of it is returning a lot of the key guys from last year's roster. And look, it was a roster that not many people had high expectations for going into the season. It was around 5.5 wins. And Bo Nix was a big reason why they took a huge jump. And on top of that, a really good defense led by NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Patrick Surtain. It's kind of elevated the stock a little bit. And so the expectations have gotten a little higher for the Broncos, who won 10 games last year. They believe, and I think a lot of people are seeing it, this is a roster that could be very, very dangerous. And they're getting a lot of love from a national side going into it. But there's a lot of hype, a lot of expectations. And with that comes needing to meet those or to exceed those. But the Broncos, I think they tune out all the noise there. And, they got a big practice here this morning. They're not in Denver, but they are in San Francisco for a joint practice here this morning with the 49ers. So we're waiting updates on that one.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's talk about some of the acquisitions this offseason. Which do you think was the biggest? Getting Dobbins from the Chargers, I'm assuming it's Trey Greenlaw, getting him from San Francisco, but they really dipped into the 49ers defense pretty hard here.
Yeah, I would say the additions of Talanoa Hufanga, Drake Greenlaw, those have been big ones. But I'd even say offensively, Evan Engram, probably the one guy I would pinpoint is, hey, really keep an eye on him. K.Dobbins, obviously coming over from the Chargers. He's an upgrade over anything the Broncos had at running back last year. You have second-round pick R.J. Harvey. Those two guys have really been splitting the carries here with the first-team offense throughout training camp. Despite the unofficial depth chart that Sean Payton released yesterday, they had R.J. Harvey listed fifth. It was causing a lot of panic amongst people, especially the fantasy football community. But I think that Drake Greenlaw defensively, Hufanga, those guys are so important because they fly around him. You watch them on film, they are next to each other quite a bit. Anywhere the football is, those guys are right there. Offensively, Evan Engram probably going to be the bigger needle mover right now, but J.K. Dobbins, he's also going to be a good addition. But I would highlight Evan Engram probably is the most important addition that they have made so far this offseason.
I wouldn't have guessed that, so that's a good name going into the season. Cody, of course, over at milehighsports.com has more on the unofficial depth chart that was released as the Broncos get ready to play their first preseason game. Let's talk about Bo Nix here for a minute. Shaky first few games, stellar second half of the season, and everyone is just expecting some of these numbers to just really rise astronomically this year, especially those rushing yards for him and the passing yards, 37-75 last year, 29 touchdowns. I mean, he was basically as good as any quarterback in the second half of the season, and I just wonder if that will continue this year.
Yeah, I think, there's hope and there's expectations of that being the case. Last year, learning Sean Payton's offense as a rookie is no easy task. And, for him, he managed that workload while in competition with guys like Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson, during training camp last year. And I think a lot of what we saw in camp last year from Bo was trying to learn the offense, but also trying not to put the ball into harm's way. He wanted to be able to protect the football there. You saw him get off to that slow start to start the regular season, learning how fast the NFL game is. And then all of a sudden something clicked for him, and he goes on to explode for 29 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown. He obviously surpassed Baker Mayfield for second all-time by an NFL rookie quarterback in terms of passing touchdowns in a season, just a couple of shy from Justin Herbert. So he's in really, really good company in terms of what he's been able to accomplish. He's well in command of the offense right now and just looks miles ahead. He bulked up a little bit this offseason, so the expectations for him are high, and I think he's handling that transition knowing that he's the guy. I think he's handling it well.
Cody, let's end with the prognostications for the season. Most have the Raiders finishing last, and then I've seen things all over the place. Not many publications have the Chiefs finishing behind the Broncos, but I do see a lot with Denver finishing ahead of the Chargers this season. How do you see it all shaking out?
I mean, the AFC West, I think, is going to be very tough this year. I mean, obviously, with Pete Carroll coming over as the head coach for the Raiders, he's going to install a little bit more toughness and discipline that organization has lacked. He bring in a guy like Geno Smith and some of the younger guys that they have with Brock Bowers. They're going to be a tough team. They're not going to be a team you can write off. The Chargers, obviously, with Harbaugh, are very solid, and you can never write off the Chiefs that have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But I will say that I have a strong feeling this could be the year that the Chiefs don't win the AFC West. I think you can make a case for the Chargers. I think you can make a case for the Broncos. And I think that there's a good chance that we maybe see that. And it starts with how they get off to, start in the early season. Denver can't get off to a slow start the way they have the last 2 years. If they get off to a hot start, that trend could be in danger for Kansas City.
Great stuff as always, Cody. Enjoy the rest of the training camp, which ends today officially, right? And then the preseason begins this weekend. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.